Hello and welcome to another episode of Explorers of Elsewhere's Elysia Rising campaign. I am DM Dan and I am joined by 5 beautiful creatures who are chomping at the bit to play some Blades in the Dark after a successful, quote-unquote, first episode.
We found the lady!
The episode was fine, but the story, everyone is boned.
Yes. Stuff and things happened, and I assure you, dear viewer and or listener, that stuff and things are also going to happen in this episode.
Not if I had anything to do with it.
Well, we will see. With that said, who wants to crack on?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Let's go.
Stuff and things.
Welcome to Elysia, the jewel of the north. On our gilded streets, fortune and fame can be found by anyone.
Hi, I'm Julia, and I'm playing Magpie, an ace of our lurk.
Hi, I'm Nate, and I'm playing Cavern, a dragon-scent slide.
Hi, I'm Meg. I'm playing Frida, a wolfkin cutter.
Hi, I'm JC, and I'll be playing Algernon, an ace of our spider.
Hello, I'm Errol. I am playing Atta, a goblin whisperer.
And my name is DM Dan. I will be the games master on this adventure.
So come on in and marvel at our wonders. Make sure you see the beautiful views we have to offer, and don't mind the ghosts. They're friendly, really. Grab yourselves a seat and make yourselves welcome in the city of Elysia.
Peace is understood in many different ways. It is a choice. It is an emotional state. It is an ideal that many strive towards. And yet, despite all of this, peace can be hard to achieve and harder to maintain. On a day in which the citizens of Elysia came together in unity under the beloved Tavarien, a keeper who dedicated her life to being a champion of the people, the city has been struck its greatest blow since being lost to the Void Sea. News of Tavarien's death has begun to spread through the streets, and there are those who whisper tales of murder. Elysian thoughts turn to the peace and cooperation Tavarien had forged between the fractious factions, wondering whether or not the city will maintain the cover of peace under which it currently resides. On this dark day, there is one small gang trying to keep their heads down, who know a few more details than most. 4 chilling words. The veil is failing. And so, before we kick everything off, we need to allocate the XP that we acquired in the last session. So the way this works fundamentally is that you lot tell me what you did or did not do to deserve your XP. We will kind of very quickly go around the houses. I know that Magpie had desperate action.
I did, yes.
So you get a point in XP in prowess.
Yes.
So I believe it was a desperate prowl.
It was indeed.
Who else did a desperate?
I don't think there's anyone.
I think that was it, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, go.
When I did arcane bubble stuff, it wasn't desperate, was it?
That was risky, I believe, yes. If it wasn't, hopefully someone will tell us in the comments below, and then we'll make that amendment. Yes, let's start. Let's go around the houses. So Magpie.
Right.
You have the option to tell me that you gained XP from playing up your playbook, expressing your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background, or because you struggled with your vice or traumas.
Yeah.
What did you do?
I wouldn't say I struggled with my vice. It's too early for any trauma, and I wouldn't say that my vice tempted me into anything bad. In terms of playbook specific XP triggers for a lurk, it's all about the sneak. I think I did quite a lot of facing challenges by prowling around on rooftops and the like.
And also the whole finding Tavarien and that was all sneak.
Getting lost in Old Town and, and all that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm happy
so
with that.
I would
so
say
XP.
2 XP. Thank you. And I put that wherever I want.
Wherever you like.
It's going into prowess. Okay. Great. And then for expressing my beliefs drives heritage, I believe did, because I had that conversation with Tavarien where we were talking about keeping going for the sake of the city and all that stuff, and was kind of rushed headlong into a house that the Blackguard had just been in because I was worried for this sort of civic figure. So I would say probably that's an expression of my beliefs and drives.
Sure, yeah, I'll agree with that. Have another
So that was at 1 XP, yeah. Into prowess it goes.
Boom. Okay, very, very nice. Atta, how did you express your playbook, beliefs, drives, heritage, background, or visceral traumas?
Okay, so I guess I don't know. I mean, whether it was a challenge, but I studied the coin in the sense that this is cool and interesting, and study is one of the hello. Yes, you address a challenge with knowledge or arcane power. So that was one thing, but I also, from express beliefs, drives, heritage, or background, utilized some urchin children to the best of our abilities. Since I am under, was it from the underworld?
The underground,
The underground, yes. And then I suppose the other thing that I did was consort with Bubble, attune with Bubble to try and find our way once we got lost, which you could argue is a little bit dipping into the vice, but also just the using attune.
Yeah, I think that kind of relates more to your playbook, because you weren't struck, you didn't go off course in an attempt to go lick Bubble, or
other than making some kind of devil's bargain.
Yes, yeah, there was something a bit spoopy. Okay. Tell you what, yeah, I'll agree with one on the vice then. You were able to you willingly coerced yourself with the things that are trying to eat your souls. I'll agree with that. You definitely did the playbook, that's for sure. Belief drives, heritage, background. Oh, the kids.
The urchins.
Kids, of course.
Child labour.
I will. Let's say I think everything you did in that mission was playbook specific, because you either studied the coin, you used the ghosts as a compass, etc., etc. So I'm going to say 2 for the playbook, 1 for the beliefs, 1 for the vice.
Groovy, so 4. Groovy. Thank you.
Who's next? JC, how did sell me Algernon's XP acquisition?
So as a spider, I have to address challenges with calculation or conspiracy. And I think I did that by cooking up a conspiracy. And I maybe express my background by speaking to a young soldier from an old soldier and having a heart-to-heart with him before I attempted to frame him for political murder.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I'll agree with that. Yeah. Everything you were doing was kind of string pulling. So, anything from your visceral traumas? I suppose.
I don't think so. I didn't really use the foresight weirdness.
Sure. Okay.
Yet.
Yeah. I am happy to say 2 for the playbook, because all you did was string pulling, and 1 for the beliefs. So let's say 3 XP.
Nice.
Nate.
I kind of feel like I did Cavern a dirty, because I don't think I did anything to gain XP.
Did you not?
teased the youths after Frida, and then you did the stuff with the fancy ladies, like distraction tactics, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you were definitely schmoozing during the thing. I guess Frida was the one that chased off the Utes.
Yeah.
Although you did, well, because you were...
You got up on the shoulders and was very...
Okay, let's say 1 for the playbook.
Right.
Because you were doing the schmoozing. Express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. I mean, what... So here's the thing, when it comes to things like beliefs and drives, they can change from like session to session, and you are in control of what they are. But I mean, how close is your bond with, say, Magpie?
You did stop to make me feel better about being prejudiced against.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Yeah, that's XP worthy right there.
Oh, I'll take that. So how many would you say that is, Dan?
So far at 2. Did you struggle with your vital trauma? I suppose Plesia and or the church, like the faith, didn't really crop up. So let's say 2.
Oh.
2 this time.
I'll take that then. I'm going to take...
And last but not least, Megmog.
Hello.
Hello. What did Frida do to get some XP?
I guess going back to the Utes, I definitely threatened them with violence.
That was great.
And I think you could potentially class it under coercion as well, because it certainly they didn't stick around for very long.
I mean, if I remember correctly, you threatened them with a good time, but sure.
It was a veiled threat, a thinly veiled threat.
Sure.
It can be both. It can be both.
Okay, yeah, I will agree with that. You did a, let's say 1 for the playbook.
I would also say that in the flashback where I spent the evening trying to get the guard, stupefied drunk, that's sort of, I think that's very much using, my sort of like, I think if my vice is to sort of obtain stupor, I then know how to elicit that in others. And I'd say that Frida's very, very known for being the one that sort of what's the word?
I would counter that by saying, because you didn't end up in a bad situation off the back of it.
No, so I didn't struggle with it.
But could it be
drunk with them? Could
it be an expression of your kind of background, who you are, Frida? The fact that was the tack you chose.
Well, DM Dan once asked me what would be Frida's greatest moment, and I answered that Frida's greatest moment is being the last woman standing in quite a sizable bar brawl.
Yes, you did.
So I think Frida is no stranger to sort of, causing a ruckus and getting the party started in the sort of, the bar scene across Elysia.
We'll say yes to 1.
It's tenuous. I'll give you that. It's tenuous.
If you squint and look at it sideways, no, we'll give you 1. Okay. So that sounds like 2.
Yeah.
2 as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Fab. Okay. And also the crew advances. So there wasn't a smuggling operation that took place, so there's no crew specific XP trigger.
Okay.
You did, however, gain XP for contending with opposition above your station, so that's 1. Mark, 1 XP. You bolstered your crew's reputation with Musto.
Yep.
So that's another one.
Mm-hmm.
And you express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew. This one is very broad. Essentially, did anything happen that highlighted the specific elements that make your crew unique? For the purposes of episode 1, what makes your crew unique is that you find yourselves in the center of a bit of a mess that we will be highlighting for another 19 episodes. So you will say also plus 1 XP for that.
Thank you.
If you, unless it happened a lot, I'll tell you what. Let's give you another. The crew is on 4 XP.
Great.
When it reaches 10, and when it gets its 11th, it will level up. Fab. Bish bash bosh. That is XP.
Right.
So we find 5 individuals scurrying as fast as they can through the streets of Old Town, away from what appears to be a growing crowd, and panicked cries that are beginning to get louder and more numerous as the minutes go on. And as you all desperately kind of dash, presumably avoiding the patrols, taking a relatively... Well, do you take the shortcut through Spire Park, or do you go the long way round through Dustry Hill, Waterside, and Rookridge?
I think we probably don't want to retread any steps, do we? I think probably I would guess the long way.
Okay. In which case, as you travel anti-clockwise around the circular living space of Elysia, you only seem to ever seemingly be a few steps ahead of the news reaching fresh ears. The sounds of people hearing what has happened in Old Town as you move past them. And despite the different kind of temperaments of the citizens within the districts that you move through, as you move through them, the reactions all generally seem to be the same. One of confusion, panic, worry, shock. As you cross as you pass by the waterside markets over the bridge, you travel through to Rookridge and cross the river a second time. You begin homing in on home, in a word, in Duskland. The streets become wider as you emerge out of the Rookridge slums, and off in the distance you can see the walls of the Ivory, the community that once claimed to be the home of House Antalya, but still to this day claims to be the home of Cadwallader Manor. As you're moving through the streets of Duskland, are you collectively heading to base, or are you heading for somewhere else, somewhere equally as hopefully equally as safe?
Would we be going back to Cadwallader Manor, or would we be going to our other place?
Back to the Spectre.
The Spectre, yeah.
Back to the Spectre.
I think so.
Okay. In which case, you stop short of the southern Ivory Wall, and as you pass through the familiar arch that joins the two buildings on the corners of this street, and you head down the cobblestone street with a few stones missing, you see a hanging sign over a door, like a black painted door, engraved with the carving of a jovial but ghoulish face, and in faded gold filigree writing underneath the words, "The Spectre." As the five of you enter, a small bell ding rings as you enter in. There are a few patrons in this kind of like upstairs area. The Spectre is a small and homely tavern of sorts. It's small enough that it probably only seat about a dozen at a time at a push. And a warm smile greets you from the bar lady behind the bar. A couple of heads look up to look at you. You see one worker who appears to have had quite a few celebratory drinks on this auspicious day. And one more noble looking individual, a Lorivar, who spies you for a moment before going back to the broadsheet that he was reading. "You right, loves? What can I get you?" says the bar lady with a somewhat knowing look.
Oh,
I'm guessing
something
we know
stiff, I think.
I'm guessing we know the bar lady's name.
Yes. I'll tell you what. This is so I don't talk all the time. What is the bar lady's name?
Juice McGee. No.
Gladys Juicy.
Or
The Gladys bit is all right.
What's wrong with Juicy?
How about Stella?
Stella. Okay.
fine, we'll go with Stella.
Or otherwise known as Juicy.
Stella
She
Juicy Gladys.
She likes to well, actually, would there be citrus
Nope.
fruit? No, there wouldn't be no
No,
citrus
but maybe
fruit.
but in the days before the bubble, maybe she got the nickname and it just stuck
She
around.
was.
Yeah,
She's
she has a
got
special way of squeezing the juice out of things.
She has a juicy tracksuit with juicy
Yeah.
on the back.
Yeah.
Juicy couture. Emblazoned across the buttocks.
Okay. Well, that's character building right there. So, Juicy Stella is a very she is certainly an individual of two halves. There are two halves of the coin to Stella. There is the warm, welcoming, plump-cheeked, smiling Stella, and there is the "you've broken the rules, I'm breaking your fingers" Stella. But because of her relatively no-nonsense approach, the Spectre has managed to kind of avoid a lot of trouble over the years. But yeah, she's smiling at you, she nods at you. When you ask for something stiff, Frida, she gives you a knowing look. Are you here to see the boss as well?
I suppose.
He's out back. I'll holler for him, she says. And you, Algernon, you see that almost imperceptible kind of move of the arm under the bar, where there's an ever so slight click. Yeah, he'll see you, and she kind of nods her head to a small seated area that potentially looks slightly out of place with the rest of the tavern, given that there's a large bookshelf that covers one side of the wall.
Thank you, Stella. I think we'll take something stiff all around.
She nods. Well, I'll send the order down. I'll let the boss know. I'm sure he'll let you in for his personal stash. And she gives you a smile before kind of pouring out another shot of shroom whiskey for the poor chap drowning his sorrows in front of her. As you kind of move into the back room, I say there are about 3 or 4 seats in this kind of back area, and all the way, like wall to wall along the back, is a large bookshelf of some pretty kind of good conditioned older books, some real belters. Magpie, you certainly would have read quite a few of these in your infancy. But as you follow the instructions that you've been given a number of times, and you pull, you turn a small statue that's on the third shelf around 90 degrees. There is another clonk, and part of the bookcase swings open, revealing a staircase.
Down we go. Is down, right?
Is it down?
Yes. Down, yes. Yes. You descend into like a partitioned part of the basement, and there is a somewhat louder hubbub that kind of rises up to the stairwell to meet you. And when you get down to this kind of secret bar area underneath the Spectre, you see that there are a few more people down here than there were upstairs. And as you kind of glance across, there are a few familiar faces, a few not so much, but one face that greets you as you enter with a small cheer, almost. Is an elderly Asavar, stood in between a bar and rows of quite expensive but pre-veil spirits. The dusky-skinned Asavar smiles at you, and like his kind of mutton chop facial hair kind of rising up as he does, he looks at you all with his one remaining good eye, his left, which, Algernon, as you peer across, you realise are as vibrantly red as as vibrantly red as your own. His other eye, whilst also still tinged with crimson, is dull and kind of glossed over, like a cataract's, with a number of scars crisscrossing from his forehead down to his right cheek, hidden partially by a intricate golden tattoo. And as you look back at the owner of the Spectre, Eric Caven, he smiles to you. How do? It's good to see you back.
Good to see you too, Caven. Have you been down in this cave all day?
Well, yes. I for some reason today, I didn't feel much like celebrating. But even hidden away down here, I'm hearing troubling things. Is it true?
Unfortunately. Bien. Aye, it's true.
You see Caven sort of like bite on his bottom lip as he closes his eyes and like scrunches his face up. And then he looks to you and well, he pulls out 6 shot glasses, and in each he half fills it with a ruby alcohol. And for some of you, this would probably be the first time that you've had non-mushroom alcohol or non-eel alcohol for quite some time. But as he offers you each a half shot, he nods to you and to Tavarien.
To Tavarien.
Yep, Tavarien.
He knocks it back. You watch as he shivers. You yourselves, depending on your constitutions, the stuff is strong. It really kicks as it moves down your throat. And to the point where some of you might even find yourself caught unawares and have a quick cough, to which Eric kind of chuckles at. If you lot were up there, do you know what might have happened?
Unfortunately, we do. But I fear it is on a need-to-know basis for your own safety.
Right. That makes it sound so much more ominous. The Sangrevar kind of gestures over to a seat in the corner. I mean, it sounds like you need a little bit of time to unwind, so I'll give you some peace. But if you want to talk about it in the future, just let me know. I'm always here.
Much obliged, Derek.
I was going to ask a world question.
Yes.
We talked about the newspaper.
Yes.
Last session or a couple of sessions ago.
Mm.
Who predominant? Is there a sense of who runs the news in Elysia?
So there is really so once upon a time Elysia would have had quite a few news publications, as well as sort of so there would have been a number of printed newspapers, and there would have been town criers and so on and so forth. Since everything happened, the treatise has kind of been the only one that survived, in so much as there's only a finite amount of news, and rather than having multiple publications reporting on the same things but over a small area, everyone's just kind of conglomerated into the treatise. So yeah, the broadsheet that the Loravar noble upstairs was reading would have been that of the treatise. But certainly, yeah, on your way back through the various districts to Duskland, you would have started to hear, as the murmurs of Tavarian's death were kind of following after you, you would have seen sort of young kids kind of running out into the street with their little treatise billboards, kind of uniforms on, and murder, death in the old town, death in the old town, a hero is killed, blah, blah, blah. That would have been a chorus that rang out after you.
But we don't have a sense of whether or not the newspaper is mostly run by Aya, church support. Yeah.
Surprisingly, the treatise has managed to keep itself relatively independent, mainly also because the various factions are kind of looking after their own bits and bobs. There were some attempts, for example, the Pillars once upon a time tried to move in on the media and tried to take it over, but there were enough kind of independent reportings that they just kind of managed to get shunted back. So you all know the treatise to be relatively honest, and without without critical agenda underneath it, but at the same time they are, in inverted commas, just common folk, so sometimes the information isn't as comprehensive as what it could be. Mm-hmm. Yes, as you all kind of grab a seat, who's the first to sit down?
Why do you ask? What's going to happen?
The chair's a mimic. No, just who's scooching into the booth first?
I'm going to scooch into the booth first.
Okay.
So you can do this. Put your arms around people.
In which case, yeah, as you scooch in, Cavern, as everyone else kind of scooches in, what's your mind? Where's your mind at in the aftermath of what's just happened?
I think Cavern is definitely sort of feeling a bit, for once in his life, very few times, a little bit lost for words. It's not probably been the first time he's seen death, but seeing someone that he knew, that's probably hit him quite hard. And I think he's ready now to just sort of see what everyone else is sort of thinking.
Sure. Well, Catherine, as you think about this, you get to choose. Who is it that slips into your left?
I'm going to say Frida.
Okay, Frida. Yeah, as you feel the warmth from that half shot from Eric kind of warm your stomach, what are you thinking?
So first of all, I think Frida would have initially gone to sat down and then stopped herself and would have instead sort of started almost pacing on the spot in front of the table. Probably, had probably gone back to the bar at some point and got herself another drink and a sort of, kind of asked for the bottle, and will be sort of pacing in front of the table, just taking sort of nervous swips and looking quite agitated.
Sure. Eric is kind of looking at you as you pace, and he's got a sympathetic look on his face, like an understanding look.
Eventually she would sort of place her hands on the table and sort of look at everyone in return and go, right, you see, I've never been very good at being kept down, kept prisoner. It never served me very well in the workhouse growing up, and I've never felt very comfortable being under this bloody giant bubble for the last 2 years. But now we know that it's, possibly not going to be there much longer. I don't know. It doesn't give me a good feeling at all. And she just takes another swig and continues pacing.
Frida, who is it that responds to your musings?
Oh, I'm gonna say, let's go Algernon.
Okay. Algernon, you, as Frida says this, where have you put the note? Is it still in your hand? Have you tucked it away in a pocket or?
Yes. So I've concealed it up my sleeve.
Sure.
And as I bring it out, if you're paying attention, you might also see I have a small arcane pistol up there. And as Frida is talking about the veil failing, I bring out that little piece of paper, roll it across the table so we can all see it properly.
And yeah, the note, perhaps there's a part within each of all of you that wishes that perhaps the ink would no longer be there anymore, but the words in a very kind of flowery cursive writing: the veil is failing. Algernon, what are you, given everything you've seen, especially sort of like overseas and like all the horrors that you would have seen during the war, for example, perhaps your stomach is a bit more hardened to terrible news like this. But yeah, where's your mind at?
Algernon is more disappointed that he failed to find her and speak to her before it happened. If he'd had just been a little bit quicker getting backstage or been more attentive, he might have had the chance to catch her. He would have very much liked to speak with her and confirm a few of his theories. But he doesn't really speak his mind, so instead he sort of starts musing about I should really improve the portability of my photographic equipment. If only it were a bit more clandestine, we might be able to. And he just sort of starts to mumble.
Sure. As you mumble, let's say that Atta, you're the one looking kind of hard at this note, because arguably this would probably be the first time you've properly seen it. But like in this moment, you just kind of have a quick thought to, given your knowledge of the arcane and magic in general, and the order of things within this place. One silver lining is that she would have been found very quickly by the authorities. So at least the spirit of Tavarien wouldn't emerge from her body and wreak havoc in Old Town before having to be forcibly put down. At least her spirit can be kind of dissipated in a controlled manner. You hope. But yeah, what are you thinking? Your beloved bubble. There's a bit of paper here that says it's not well.
Beloved bubble. I think at a sort of half. You know, when conversations are happening and you sort of vaguely respond to them because something big just happened. I think Atta responds to Algernon like, "Do you really think that even with a magic picture they would believe that he did it? If he did do it, I mean, he's the leader of the guard, right?"
He's the leader of the guard. Capable of a lot, I'm sure people will believe. Hopefully we won't need the magical image to take his chestnuts out the fire, as to say.
I hope so. I think Atta's kind of got like one finger on the paper and is kind of slowly inching it just closer to them, and it's just kind of focusing in Atta's weirdly intense way on this note, trying to figure out if it has any secrets.
Okay, so is that like amusing? Does it have secrets, or is that you're rolling to see if it has secrets?
I would like to roll. If I had to choose between two different roles, I think that Atta's a little scared to kind of tune into anything magical at the moment. So I think it's more she is studying this paper. Like, is there anything unique about where this paper came from? Whether it looks like it was torn from a larger book, whether it was written a long time ago or hastily, all those,
Is it on particular stationery? Did they go to paper chase?
Give me...
maybe if Tavori... I can't. Then Tavarian. I will get there. If Tavarian has ever...
It's right, she's dead. You won't need to much longer.
If the dead old lady... If she has ever penned any public notes, I guess did she write it and she wanted to hand it to someone?
It sounds like you are scrutinizing detail and interpreting evidence.
I am trying to, yes.
Please roll me a study. Controlled, standard.
Okay. I've only got 2 stress. I'll push myself. Is it 2 stress for pushing?
2 stress, yeah.
So 1 extra dice, and sorry, what position was it?
Controlled standard.
Okay, groovy. Thank you very much.
Okay. A partial success. As you look at the paper, like you're not really able to, because it's a torn scrap. Like you're not able to ascertain like its origins or anything in peculiar. Like you notice it's quite clean, but it's also a bit hard to gauge its kind of age because it's been crumpled and like folded up, and it's gone around a little bit. The ink looks relatively kind of fresh. You do know that it's not Tavarian's writing.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that you do kind of surmise as you think about it is that it was clear, like she had, Tavarian clearly had this note. It was in her hand when you found her. And presumably after receiving this note, she was killed for it. And it makes you wonder, why was Algarve there? And putting two and two together, it dawns on you, it's because he probably knew what was on that note. Because
wasn't a note
he didn't
passed
take it.
to him? You spied the note that was passed to Algarve. Was there a note passed to Algarve, JC?
Yeah,
Algarve?
a courier came up to him during the speech and passed him a note, and then
he made his exit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, kind of piecing it together, Algarve was tipped off about something. He then headed to his carriage, like his coach, as Algernon might have mentioned, and then effectively ended up in the same place as Tavarian, after which where she was having a rendezvous, with the lady in purple, and at some point in those minutes, she was shot.
I guess we need to find this lady in purple, right? Magpie?
Magpie doesn't answer directly to you. She's just staring down at the note quietly. She hasn't said anything so far. And she just goes, "The veil is failing. So the thing that keeps us alive is breaking down. And the person that kept us working together is dead. What in the hells do we do now?"
As Magpie's voice, that question lingers in the air, your position changes slightly off the back of Atta's partial success. And you hear the sound of the secret bookcase door opening, and some slow, ponderous, thuddy footsteps come down the stairs. And as this figure kind of comes around the corner at the bottom of the staircase, you see the silhouette, ever so slightly illuminated by the low kind of candlelight around you. You see the silhouette of Mustovan.
Great.
And
That bottom feeder right now.
Just what we need.
And as he stands at the bottom of the stairs, you see him. He stops for a moment, and there is sweat glistening on his brow and cheeks, presumably from his exertion of walking from his part of town to here. And you see him. He pulls out a dirty handkerchief and lifts up his kind of pork pie type hat and pats his forehead quite violently before sort of rubbing his cheeks with his sleeves. And as he breathes heavily through his mouth, He slowly catches his breath and then looks over in your direction. Well, there you are, he says, and he waddles over to your table.
Ah, Musto, welcome. A pleasure as always.
Yes, I know. Right, so you
We've got some information about your purple lady.
Marvellous.
And I don't mean the butterfly.
He laughs. You know he doesn't understand why he's laughing. But he laughs nonetheless. And he sort of like, oh, right. And he sort of like grabs a chair from another table that someone was about to sit down on, and he just kind of drags it over to your table, and then kind of takes a seat and sort of puts his hands firmly on his thighs and go, hit me with it.
As there's an behind him.
Well, we found out quite a lot actually, but unfortunately, it's far too important for the likes of you.
Musto looks at you,
Oh.
his mouth hanging open, like his jowls just sagging slightly. And then his brow slowly furrows, and like it shrinks his already tiny eyes even smaller. You what?
We're talking information of national importance, Musto. We can't have you spitting it on the hands of every lazy Tom in your social circle.
And he blinks
Yes,
a few
Algernon,
times.
yes!
Inspiration for Algernon. And he sort of like shakes his head as he tries to comprehend what you're saying. And what's this bird got to do with national security?
Well, I can tell you that we found her favourite flower, lily of the valley, and her favourite mushroom variety is the portobello. I think your pockets might not be deep enough for the rest.
He growls, like audibly growls, and you see his sort of like chin vibrate as he does, and then he
Unless
what?
Well, you were telling us all about your business ventures. Maybe we could make one.
He starts tapping his like squashed little nose a few times as he ponders this business decision. And so if I set you up with some jobs, you'll give me the juicier gossip.
Exactly. We require leads to arcane substances, so any magic that passes under your snotty little nose should come to our pigeonhole here at the Spectre.
Okay. I see what you're getting at. All right, well, I mean, apart from her flowers and her mushrooms, you find out, like, where she goes or anything like that? Like,
Well,
has she got friends that we might be able to, have a word with?
Again, this is incredibly important and valuable information, so keep it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
She works for Algarve. She's with the Intelligence Corps.
Oh, pissing hell. Oh, and like you see this goblin rock back on this stool. Like, oh!
And
what?
we have reason to believe she has orchestrated the assassination of Tavarien on his behalf.
Magpie's just sitting there making eyes at the others. Like...
No. Tavarien's dead?
Oh, haven't you heard?
Oh no.
When did this happen?
It happened earlier this evening, Musto. I apologise for breaking the news to you in such a way. I know how dearly you felt towards her.
Yeah, she was
all right, wasn't she?
She was all right, wasn't she? Yeah. That's a bummer. All right, well, it's good to know about this purple lady, though. All right, well, I best go tell the boys the bad news. And he turns and he looks over to Eric and, could I have a glass of your finest in honor of Tavar? And before he finishes, Eric's like, no. like puts a bottle away. And Musto, well, I'll be honest, that's more information than I was expecting. So a deal's a deal. And he drops 4 coin we agreed on, right?
Sure.
Sounds good to us.
He drops the 4 coin and future business propositions.
And I trust you'll give us the space to do our work in the future without popping in for an errand every 5 seconds.
Sure. I'll put the word out. Tell the boys not to give you too much trouble if you're moving around on their territory. They might still come up and ask you. I mean, it's good of them to be curious about people wandering around on their streets, but they shouldn't give you any bother, not unless you piss them off or something. But I can't imagine that you're going to do that. So, tell you what, I think I like you. So, let's consider ourselves associates, shall we?
Quite. Let's keep it civil.
Marvelous. And I'll put the word out that you lot are on the job. Right then. Say, I'm gonna. They're really stingy here with the drinks, so I'm gonna go tell the boys the bad news. Maybe we'll get someone else to give us some booze instead. And he bangs his hand on the table and stands up and waddles out.
As Frida watches him go, she just turns around with a big grin and says to Algernon, "Oh, I do love watching you play with your prey. That was perfect."
So, as you have pleased Musto with your information, your reputation with the underworld goes up.
Ooh, great.
Okay, what we're going to do, real quick, we're going to grab a tea break. All of this downtime stuff and the repercussions of it will be part 2.
Thank you.
Bye.